Hello, I'm Bartling, and I certainly hope that you and yours are enjoying yourself a sunnier, warmer day. We'll go left, 87, Kansas City, kill, 45 right. Now that might be a call that Andy Reid is going to use this particular Sunday. Well, the older I am, the more that I think. And I'm thinking of, how do you handle problems? And believe me, they're going to come up. Yes, every single one of us are going to have problems. Now, the optimists will say they're not problems, those are opportunities. Well, indeed, they might be. So how are you handling your problems or your opportunities? A little bit the way that I do is I've learned to acknowledge my own personal social style. And as that then I can be reinforced by acknowledging certain things. Now there are 4 different social styles: a driving personality, an expressive, amiable, and analytical. And we're a mix, of course, of all of those, depending on what hat we might be wearing. But my primary social style is that of a analytical. And so what's important to me is I don't know what I don't know in regards to this particular problem that I perceive is my problem. And so some of the things that I need to acknowledge is my backup style. If I get too stressed out, I will try to avoid that problem. Do you have that problem? My measurement of success is activity. Give me a list so I can check things off. That helps me as I look and try to solve a problem itself. Okay? For me to grow, I need to decide. I have enough facts. Let's get off the fence. Let's decide. Let's be like George Patton. Let's move on. What's important to me is I have enough information that I'm able to look at that problem and solve it. So, you want to help reinforce me? I need the details. I need the details. In God we trust. Everybody else, bring me hard data. I need to take time to be accurate. I need to check and recheck, and maybe even recheck. Now, as I get older, believe me, it gets a little harder. I can't tell you how many times I check the door to make sure it's locked. And can I say 100% I make sure it is? No, I can't. Because as I get older, I need to rely more on those particular lists that they have there. And as I said, we all have problems. For example, one of the degrees that I have is a CLU. Now that could stand for Charter Life Underwriter. That's an advanced degree that you get from a college in Pennsylvania. But also, CLU could stand for, and I fit that definition more all the time it seems, CLU could stand for Chubby Little Underwriter. Yes, you see, I have a problem with seafood. In the middle of South Dakota, you have a problem with seafood? Yes, I do. I see food, and I want to taste it. Doesn't matter what it is. I see food, and it's contributing to me being that chubby little underwriter. But one of the important words to me is this. Is it what? Who, why, or how? How is very, very important to me. An example. LaDonna and I, years past, was going to go to Panama on a special occasion. You see, my niece was getting married. And And we had planned and communicated back and forth with the family, and we were looking forward to it. We were going to meet family members we hadn't even met before. Quite an occasion. We had it all set. We get to the airport here in Rapid City. We are checking out. I check out first. We're all set to go. LaDonna's right behind me. And they say her passport has expired within the expiration date and she cannot go. I look and her passport is not expired. Then they explained to me that throughout the world, different countries have different expiration dates. And if your passport is going to expire within 6 months, 9 months, 8 months, whatever it might be, if you're within that time period, then you can't enter the country. That was the case. I didn't know what I didn't know. And how could that have happened? And it was a heartbreak. Let me tell you. Talk about a grown man crying. That was me. We had to contact the family in Panama and say that we were not coming. Don't know what you don't know. Well, there was another gentleman in history that he had a problem. And the way he looked at that problem, he first started to diagram what the problem was. You see, that problem wasn't exclusively his. There seemed to be a ceiling. This gentleman's first name was Roger, and Roger was a track star for his country. And that ceiling seemed to be that no one could beat the record of that ceiling. No matter what different training was done, what different coaches applied, that ceiling could not be broken. That was the 4-minute mile. No one seemed to be able to break the 4-minute mile. Well, then Roger, again, in breaking down some of the training techniques, applying his analytical style, then he started to, number one, he drew away from his coaches. He started just to coach himself in the style that he wanted to do it in. And what he started to do was to run with other athletes that were maybe running the 400 meter and so forth. Now, the world itself kind of said they had already decided, well, the only way that world record is going to be broken is it's going to have to be a real good day, above 68 degrees, no wind, and on a clay track. Well, May 6th of 1954, it had just rained that evening. It was still cold and damp. And I believe it was not a clay track. But Roger was in the race, and so were some of his fellow runners. You see, in that race, there were runners that were actually pacing Roger. They paced him at those shorter distance. And Roger Bannister, May 6th, 1954, in realizing the problem that he had taken and put on his shoulder, he broke the world record. He did it in less than 4 minutes. And within 6 months, others were doing it. But that ceiling seemed to be there, and it seemed to be accepted that, it had to be a miracle, and it had to be in a miracle situation. Roger did not accept that. So as you look at problems, here's a suggestion. Apply the Serenity Prayer. You probably know that Serenity Prayer. I would invite you to do that. Accept things that you cannot change. Have activity and change things that you can change. And have the wisdom and maybe apply the prayer to know the difference, to be able to know the difference. There's a thing right now going on that's worrying me. And it's this. There seems to be a conflict with these countries on the Panama Canal. So in my style, I am trying to feed upon any and all information I can get current and past on the situation. In other words, what was the original contract? What did it say that Jimmy Carter signed? What were the details on that? What were the details on the 2 ports that are now controlled by the Chinese? What about this new bridge that's going across? All of these different details. And I'm seeing videos from PBS to the Senate hearing himself, and Mark Rubio was going to Panama very recently here. But all of that I'm going to then take in, because I know I can't change, but it still worries me. My family is from Panama, and yet there is seems to be a conflict there. So apply the Serenity Prayer. How do you handle problems? Well, I know this. I'm rooting for you. Indeed I am. Why? Hey, we are in this together. We're the team. You bet we are. And remember this. Blessed are they who ease the pain of misfortune, for they shall be called insurance agents. You take care.